Hey guys, in this video we're going to be looking at 4.3 quick graphs using intercepts. Alright, in lesson 4.2 we learned how to graph a line by making a table and then plotting the points and then drawing a line through the points. In the lesson today we're going to look at how we can draw lines using what we know about intercepts. So the example asks us to find the X-intercept and the Y-intercept. So let's start with the X-intercept. So the X-intercept is where our line crosses the x-axis. Remember, in our coordinate plane, the horizontal line is our x-axis and the vertical line is our y-axis. So where something crosses the x-axis, well, our blue line here crosses the x-axis right here at the point 3, 0. We have our X-intercept is 3, or even better, our X-intercept is the point 3, 0. Either way is usually fine, however you want to write it. I prefer to write the coordinate point though. Now, if we were to find the Y-intercept, that is where the line crosses the y-axis, and our blue line crosses the y-axis right here. So at 3 as well. However, this point will be, well, we go over left and right 0, but we go up 3. So kind of similar, but flipped around. So our Y-intercept, again, we could either write this as 3 or the point 0, 3. Go ahead and try to do this next example on your own, and then unpause the video and see how you did. Our X-intercept happens where the blue line crosses the x-axis. So that happens right here. So we could either write this as X-intercept is 5 or the point 5, 0. For our Y-intercept, it's where our line crosses the y-axis, which happens here. And again, we can either write this as -4 or the point 0, -4. Now I want you to notice something in these points. Notice how that both our x-intercepts, the y-coordinate is 0. And with our y-intercepts, the x-coordinates are 0. That's because if we look anywhere on our y-intercept, our x-coordinate is going to be 0 because we don't go left or right any. So for instance, this would be the point 0, 1. This would be the point 0, -4. See how our x-coordinates are always 0. We're looking at the x-intercepts. Well, again, we don't go up or down any, so our y-coordinates are always 0. So notice this would be the point 1, 0. This would be the point 3, 0. If we were to go in the negative direction, this would be the point -2, 0. And our y-coordinates are always 0. So in this next example, we're asked to find the x and y-intercepts of the line. So we can apply a general rule to this. Our x-intercept always happens when y equals 0. So if we have the line 2x plus 3y is equal to 6, to find our x-coordinate, we can use the information we know, y equals 0, and plug that in to solve for x. So let's try it. 2, we're trying to figure out what the x-coordinate is, plus 3. We'll plug in 0 for y. It's equal to 6. So we have 2x. 3 times 0 is going to just be 0. And so we can just leave out the plus 0 bit now. So we have 2x is equal to 6. So we have 2 times x. Inverse operations, the opposite of multiplication is division. Divide by 2. X is 3. So our x-intercept happens at 3, or we can write this as the coordinate pair over 3 up 0. Now, a general rule for our y-intercept, and maybe you can guess this, but when we are trying to figure out our x-intercept, we use y is equal to 0. Well, our y-intercept always happens when x equals 0. So we can go about the same kind of thing, but instead of plugging in 0 for y, we can plug in 0 for x. So 2, and then for x, we'll plug in 0, plus 3. We're going to figure out what that y-intercept is equal to 6. 2 times 0, again, that's just 0, so we can just write 3y is equal to 6. We have 3 times y. Inverse operations tells us we should divide by 3. So we have y is 2. Or we can write this as the point 0, 2. And that is our y-intercept. Alright, so using this general rule that we just figured out, go ahead and try to do part B on your own. So to find our x-intercept, we have to plug in 0 for y. So we'll plug in 0 on the left side of the equation. It's equal to 4x, since we're trying to figure out what our x-intercept is, we'll leave x on its own, plus 40. Now we need to solve for x. So remember, we have to do inverse operations to get x on its own. We have 4x plus 40. The opposite of adding 40 would be subtracting 40. What we do to one side, we do to the other. So we have negative 40 is 4x. Now we have 4 times x, so inverse operations tell us we should divide. Negative 40 divided by 4, going to be negative 10 is x. So our x-intercept is negative 10, or we can write it as negative 10, 0. For our y-intercept, we plug in 0 for x, so we'll leave y on its own. Y is equal to 4, plugging in 0 for x, plus 40. Well, 4 times 0 is just 0, so we have y is 40. So our y-intercept can be written as 40, or the coordinate point 0, 40. Perfect. Hopefully that's making some sense. Let's look at the next example. We're asked to graph the line using the given intercepts. So we're kind of doing the same idea, but this time we're going backwards. So before we had to find the intercepts, and now we're trying to find the line using the intercepts. Okay, so since we're given that the x-intercept is negative 2, we can write this as the coordinate point negative 2, 0. Since remember, our x-coordinate meant that we plugged in 0 for y. So we plugged in 0 for y, and we got negative 2. For our y-intercept, we can write this as the point, well, we would have had to plug in 0 for x, so 0, and then we got out 5 for our y. Now, luckily, you only need 2 points to graph a line, so we can just go ahead and do it. So for our x-intercept, we got negative 2, 0. So we'll start at the origin. We'll go left, 1, 2, and then we won't go up or down any since we have 0 for y. So we're right here. And for our y-intercept, we start at 0, the origin. We don't go left or right any since our x-coordinate is 0, but we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we can connect these 2 dots, and we got ourselves a line. Go ahead and try part B on your own, and then we can come back and do it together. So for our x-intercept, we got 4. So again, this would have been the point 4, 0. For our y-intercept, we got 7. So this would have been the point 0, 7. Now we just need to plot those 2 points. So for the x-intercept, start at the origin, we go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right and up 0. For For our y-intercept, we start at the origin. We don't go left or right any, but we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, we can just connect these two dots, and we got a line.